The deep space monitoring station on Pluto's moon Charon picked up the signal first. It was faint but unmistakable, not random cosmic noise but a pattern that suggested intelligence. Frank Winters, the night shift operator, almost missed it. He was on his fourth cup of coffee when the alert flashed across his screen. His eyes widened as he studied the readings. "Control, this is Charon Station. We've got something big coming in from the Kuiper Belt," Frank said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. Within hours, the signal was confirmed by every monitoring station in the solar system. Something was approaching Earth. Something massive and moving with purpose. Commander Alan Brooks was overseeing training exercises on the lunar base when the call came through. He was a tall man with graying hair at his temples and eyes that had seen 25 years of military service. His weathered face showed no emotion as he received the news, but inside, alarm bells were ringing. "How long until they reach Earth?" "Orbit?" he asked. "3 days, sir. Maybe 4, came the reply. Earth in 2137 was not the same planet it had been a century before. Humanity had spread throughout the solar system, with colonies on Mars, Europa, and several large asteroids. The United Earth Defense Force had been formed to protect these new frontiers, but they had never expected to defend against anything like this. On the 3rd day they appeared. 12 massive ships, each bigger than the largest Earth vessel by car at least 20 times. They moved with impossible grace for their size, taking up positions around the planet like predators surrounding prey. In the UEDF headquarters beneath Geneva, Switzerland, the atmosphere was tense. Military leaders from around the world gathered in the war room, watching the main display as the alien vessels settled into orbit. "Any response to our hails?" Brooks asked. "Nothing yet, sir," said Communications Officer Olivia Grant, as if on cue. Every screen in the room flickered. A face appeared, scaled with vertical pupils and yellow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. The being wore some kind of ceremonial armor across its broad shoulders. "People of Earth," the creature spoke in perfect English. "I am Admiral Krazathar of the Draconian Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Resistance is not advised. We have conquered 17 worlds before yours, and none have successfully opposed us." The room fell silent as the message continued. "You will surrender all military assets and governmental authority within 48 Earth hours. Failure to comply will result in a demonstration of power against your most populated cities." The transmission ended abruptly. Brooks looked around, at the stunned faces of Earth's military leadership. "Well," he said, breaking the silence, "I guess we know who they are now." In the days that followed, panic spread across Earth. Some cities saw riots while others emptied as people fled to rural areas. The United Nations Security Council met in emergency session, with world leaders divided on how to respond. "We have no choice but to surrender," said the European Union president. "You've seen the size of their ships. One of them could probably destroy Europe." "Surrender means slavery," countered the African Alliance representative. "We've read their message. 17 conquered worlds, they're not here for peaceful relations." In a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of Earth's best scientists worked around the clock to analyze what little they knew of Draconian technology. Chief Scientist Paul Martinez led the effort, a brilliant man whose gentle demeanor belied his fierce intelligence. "There's something odd about their communication patterns," said Lieutenant Samantha Reed, who had been studying the alien transmissions. She was young for her rank, with short brown hair and intense focus that had earned her multiple commendations. "What do you mean?" Martinez asked, looking up from his data pad. "Look at these frequencies." Samantha pointed to her screen. "They avoid certain bands entirely, even though those would be more efficient for their communications." Martinez studied the data. "You're right. It's as if they're sensitive to those frequencies." While the scientists worked, the Draconians sent landing parties to major cities, supposedly as observers but clearly meant to intimidate. They were tall, powerfully built reptilian beings who moved with predatory grace. Their presence on the streets caused both fear and anger among humans. Commander Brooks received daily intelligence reports in the war room. None of it was good. The Draconian ships carried weapons capable of destroying entire cities. Their hulls seemed impervious to any conventional weapons Earth possessed. "Sir," his aide said, entering with a secure tablet. "Lieutenant Reed is requesting to speak with you. She says it's urgent." Brooks took the call privately. On the screen, Samantha's face appeared, excitement barely contained. "Commander, we've found something," she said. "The Draconians have a weakness." "I'm listening, Lieutenant." "Their neural systems are hypersensitive to a specific electromagnetic frequency, one that's actually similar to what Earth's magnetic field naturally produces, but at a much lower intensity." Brooks frowned. "If they're sensitive to something in our magnetic field, why aren't they affected now?" "Their ships must shield them," Martinez said, appearing behind Samantha in the frame. "And their ground troops wear those full-body suits we've seen. But sir, if we could amplify this frequency, we could potentially disrupt their neural systems," Samantha finished. "It might be why they've stayed mostly in orbit rather than launching a full-ground invasion." For the first time since the alien ships appeared, Brooks felt a flicker of hope. "How soon can you build something to test this theory?" "We already have," Martinez said. "But we'd need to get close to one of their ships to confirm it works." Brooks nodded. "I know just the man for the job. Keep this absolutely quiet. No reports, nothing digital that could be intercepted." That evening, Captain John Miller received unusual orders to report to Commander Brooks's private quarters. Miller was a veteran of the Mars colony uprising, with a reputation for getting impossible jobs done. "Captain," Brooks said when they were alone, "how do you feel about taking a little trip to the moon?" Miller gave a small smile. "Sounds like my kind of vacation, sir." As Earth's deadline for surrender approached, a small unmarked shuttle left for the lunar base under cover of routine supply delivery. Aboard were Captain Miller, Lieutenant Reed, and a small team of specialists carrying equipment that officially didn't exist. Admiral Krasathar watched Earth from his command ship, growing impatient with the humans' delaying tactics. He had conquered 17 worlds and none had dared to resist for this long. "Begin targeting sequence," he ordered. "We will destroy one of their smaller cities as a demonstration. Choose one with under 1 million inhabitants." What the Admiral didn't know was that humanity had just found its first real hope. On the dark side of the moon, far from Draconian sensors, Miller's team was preparing to deploy their experimental weapon, one that might exploit the only weakness of the seemingly invincible Draconian Empire. While world leaders debated surrender, terms and civilians prepared for the worst, Earth's first counterattack was being readied in secret. The truth behind what would soon become the Draconian fleet's greatest disaster was about to unfold. 2 weeks had passed since the Draconian fleet first appeared in Earth's orbit. The world held its breath as the deadline for surrender came and went. Admiral Krasthar had granted an extension, but his patience was clearly wearing thin. His ships remained in position, weapons ready, while small scout vessels made regular passes over major cities. Captain John Miller and his team worked in silence on the dark side of the moon. They had set up their equipment in an abandoned mining outpost away from the prying sensors of the Draconian ships. Lieutenant Samantha Reed checked the readings on her device for the 5th time. "The frequency modulator is ready," she said. "But we only get one shot at this. If it doesn't work, they'll know what we're trying to do." Miller nodded. He was a stocky man with short-cropped hair and steady hands that had seen many battles. "Then we make it work. How far can this signal reach?" "Not far enough to hit their main fleet," Samantha admitted. "But there's a patrol ship that passes by the Copernicus crater every 6 hours. If we time it right, we can test it on them." Back on Earth in the Rocky Mountain facility, Paul Martinez worked with a team of engineers to build more signal emitters. The underground lab was filled, with the hum of machinery and the tap of keyboards. "Dr. Martinez," called one of the engineers, "we've got something strange in the Draconian communication patterns." Martinez walked over and studied the screen. "They're increasing their encrypted transmissions. And look at these energy readings from their ships. They're preparing for something," the engineer said. Martinez grabbed his phone and dialed Commander Brooks directly. "Sir, I think the Draconians are getting ready to attack. The energy signatures from their weapon systems are powering up." Brooks was in the middle of a meeting with world leaders when he received the call. He excused himself and stepped out into the hallway. How long do we have? He asked Martinez. Hours, maybe less. Brooks rubbed his forehead. And Miller's team? They're about to test the frequency weapon now. On the moon, Miller's team had positioned their equipment on a ridge overlooking the crater. The small Draconian patrol ship was approaching, its sleek form gliding silently over the lunar surface. Now, Miller said. Samantha activated the device. There was no sound, no visible beam, nothing to indicate that anything had happened at all. For a moment they thought it had failed. Then the patrol ship lurched sideways. It dipped suddenly, scraping against a rocky outcropping. Its lights flickered, and its smooth flight pattern became erratic. It's working, Samantha whispered. The patrol ship tried to correct its course, but instead plowed into the lunar surface, throwing up a plume of dust. It skidded for nearly half a mile before coming to a stop. Send the signal, Miller ordered. One of his team transmitted a short burst message back to Earth. Test successful. Target disabled. In his command ship, Admiral Krasithar slammed his scaled fist against his chair. What do you mean we lost contact with the patrol vessel? Send another ship to investigate immediately. His second-in-command hesitated. Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the lunar surface near the last known position of our patrol. Krasithar's eyes narrowed. These humans are more clever than they appear. Enough delays. Prepare to target their military installations. We will show them the price of defiance. On Earth, Commander Brooks received Miller's message during an emergency meeting with the Security Council. We have a weapon that works, he announced to the stunned room. But we need time to produce more units and position them globally. How much time? Asked the Chinese representative. A week. Maybe less if we can get every electronics factory on the planet working on this. We don't have a week, said another leader, pointing to the main screen where Draconian ships were changing positions. They're moving into attack formation. Brooks made a quick decision. Then we give them what they want, or at least what they think they want. We'll announce our surrender, ask for terms, buy as much time as we can. Within the hour, Earth broadcast its official surrender to the Draconian fleet. Admiral Krasithar appeared pleased by the transmission, his scaled lips pulling back in what might have been a smile. Wise decision, he said. I will send representatives to your United Nations building to discuss the terms of your planet's integration into our empire. While the world watched the public surrender, a hidden operation sprang into action. Every electronics factory from Shanghai to Detroit began producing signal emitters based on Martinez's design. Military transports disguised as civilian aircraft delivered components to secret assembly points. Satellites were quietly reprogrammed. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Samantha worked with Martinez to refine the frequency. The effect is stronger than we expected, she said, reviewing the data from the lunar test. Their neural systems are extremely sensitive to this specific wavelength. Martinez nodded, excitement in his eyes. And humans are completely unaffected. Because we evolved alongside Earth's natural field, we're immune. But there's a problem, Samantha said. The signal doesn't penetrate their ship hulls very well. We'd need to get emitters inside their vessels to affect the crews. Commander, Brooks joined them, looking tired but determined. Then that's what we'll do. Captain Miller is already working on a plan. 3 days after Earth's surrender, Draconian landing parties arrived in major cities. They established outposts in Seattle, Cairo, and Sydney, moving with military precision. Each alien soldier wore full-body armor with sealed helmets, carrying weapons unlike anything humans had seen before. What the Draconians didn't know was that each landing site had been carefully chosen by Earth's defense forces. Hidden beneath, these cities were natural formations that amplified Earth's magnetic field. In Seattle, the first sign that something was wrong came when a Draconian soldier suddenly stumbled, dropping his weapon. Another began moving erratically, his armored head swinging from side to side as if confused. The Draconian commander barked an order in their clicking language, but more of his troops were showing signs of distress. One ripped off his helmet, gasping, a fatal mistake. The amplified frequency hit his exposed nervous system directly. He collapsed, body convulsing. Similar scenes played out in Cairo and Sydney. The Draconians retreated to their ships, but the damage was done. Earth had confirmed their weakness. In orbit, Admiral Krasithar received disturbing reports from his ground forces. "The humans have discovered our sensitivity," his medical officer reported. "The planet's natural field is being artificially amplified in specific locations." Krasithar's yellow eyes narrowed. "Then we will not set foot on their world again. Launch the orbital bombardment, destroy their cities from here." What Krasithar didn't know was that Captain Miller's team had already infiltrated one of the smaller Draconian vessels, using the confusion of the ground attacks as cover. They moved through the alien ship, placing small signal amplifiers at key locations. Earth's counterattack was about to begin. The smallest ship in the Draconian fleet was still massive by human standards. Captain John Miller and his 4-person team moved cautiously through its dark corridors. The interior was hot and humid, designed for reptilian comfort. They wore special suits that masked their heat signatures from the ship's sensors. "This way," whispered Linda Carter, who had once been a signal intelligence specialist before joining the UEDF. She held a small device that tracked the ship's power systems. The main communication hub should be 2 levels up. The team placed signal amplifiers at key junction points as they moved. Each small device was designed to broadcast the harmful frequency throughout the ship's systems once activated. On Earth, Commander Brooks watched from the war room as Draconian ships repositioned for orbital strikes. The first blast hit a military base in the Pacific, vaporizing it instantly. The second struck near Moscow, leaving a crater half a mile wide. "How much longer until we're ready?" Brooks asked Martinez over the secure line. "Global network is at 87%. Martinez replied. "We need another hour to bring the Southern Hemisphere transmitters online." "We may not have an hour," Brooks said grimly, watching as another Draconian ship moved into firing position over North America. Inside the alien vessel, Miller's team reached the communications hub. 2 Draconian crew members sat at control stations. Their scaled skin glistened under the strange blue lights, and their clawed hands moved with surprising grace over the alien controls. Miller nodded to his weapons specialist, who fired 2 silent darts. The Draconians slumped forward, temporarily paralyzed by the human-developed toxin. "Work fast," Miller ordered. "We have maybe 10 minutes before they're missed." Linda connected their main amplifier directly to the ship's communication array. This would allow them to broadcast the disruptive frequency to every ship in the Draconian fleet simultaneously. "Almost there," she said, fingers flying over her portable computer as she bypassed security protocols. "These systems are advanced, but they never expected anyone to hack them from the inside." In the Rocky Mountain facility, Samantha Reed monitored the operation. Her screen showed the status of every signal emitter around the globe and in orbit. The plan they had nicknamed Operation Siren was almost ready. "Commander," she called to Brooks over the video link, "Miller's team has reached the hub and is connecting now. Once they activate their amplifier, we need to immediately trigger the global network. The surprise factor is crucial." "Understood," Brooks replied. "All defense forces are standing by." On the Draconian command ship, Admiral Krasithar grew increasingly frustrated. The humans were supposed to be surrendering, yet his landing parties had been attacked with some kind of neural disruptor. "Continue the bombardment," he ordered. "Target their major population centers next. Let's see how quickly they submit when their cities start disappearing." One of his officers approached cautiously. "Admiral, we've lost contact with Assault Vessel 8. "What? How?" Krasithar demanded. "Unknown, sir. It simply stopped responding to hails." Inside Assault Vessel 8, the ship Miller's team had infiltrated, Linda made the final connection. "We're in," she said. "Amplifier is connected to their communication system." Miller checked his watch. They had been aboard for 23 minutes, longer than planned. "Activate it and let's get out of here." Linda pressed the activation sequence. Nothing visible happened, but on her device a green light confirmed the amplifier was working. "Signal is broadcasting," she confirmed. "Let's move." As they turned to leave, The ship lurched violently. Emergency lights flashed, and a harsh alarm sound filled the corridors. "They've noticed something's wrong," Miller said. "Run." The team sprinted through the corridors toward their extraction point, where a small stealth shuttle was docked. Behind them, they could hear the confused shouts of Draconian crew members. On Earth, Samantha's monitor showed a single bright point of light, the signal from Miller's team. "They've done it!" she exclaimed. "The amplifier is active." "Commander," Brooks didn't hesitate. "Initiate Operation Siren. Activate all emitters." Around the world, thousands of signal emitters powered up simultaneously. Satellites adjusted their positions, focusing their transmitters on the Draconian fleet. The natural electromagnetic field of Earth itself seemed to pulse as technology designed to amplify it came online. In orbit, the effect was immediate and devastating. Across the Draconian fleet, alarm systems blared as crew members suddenly found themselves unable to think clearly. The disruptive frequency penetrated their ships through communication channels, affecting their sensitive neural systems. On the command ship, Admiral Krasthar clutched his head in agony. "What is happening?" he roared. His vision blurred and he could feel his muscles spasming. "Unknown attack," gasped his second-in-command. "It's affecting all ships. Systems failing." One Draconian vessel fired its weapons erratically, hitting another ship in its own fleet. Two more began drifting out of formation as their navigation systems failed. Miller's team reached their extraction shuttle just as the effects of the frequency weapon hit Assault Vessel 8 full force. The Draconian crew was in chaos. Some collapsed on the floor, others firing weapons at shadows. "Get us out of here," Miller ordered as they sealed the shuttle hatch. The small human craft detached from the alien vessel and accelerated away, its stealth systems making it nearly invisible against the blackness of space. Back in the command center, Brooks watched as the Draconian fleet fell into disarray. "Launch the defense fleet," he ordered. "Target any ship still capable of firing its weapons." Earth's small fleet of defense ships rose from hidden bases. They were hopelessly outmatched in terms of size and power, but they had one crucial advantage. Their crews were completely unaffected by the frequency that was crippling the Draconians. Admiral Krasthar fought through the pain long enough to issue one final order. "Retreat. All ships capable of movement, break orbit immediately." 4 Draconian vessels managed to engage their engines, struggling to escape Earth's orbit. The remaining 8 drifted helplessly, their crews incapacitated by the frequency attack. As Miller's shuttle returned to Earth, he watched through the viewport as human defense ships approached the disabled Draconian vessels. "We did it," Linda said softly beside him. "They never saw it coming." Miller nodded. "This is just the beginning. They'll be back, and next time, they'll be ready for this trick." On the surface, crowds gathered in cities around the world watching the sky where flashes of light marked the battle in orbit. News spread quickly. Humanity had not only resisted but had actually defeated the seemingly invincible Draconian fleet. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Samantha and Martinez were already working on the next phase. "If we can board their vessels," Samantha said, "we can learn their technology, maybe even find their homeworld." Martinez nodded. "And we need to contact the other species they've conquered. If Earth could defeat them, then others can too," Samantha finished. As dawn broke over a world that had faced extinction and survived, Commander Brooks stood at the window of his office, watching the sun rise. 7 massive alien ships now hung disabled in Earth's orbit, the most advanced technology humanity had ever encountered, ripe for study. The Draconian threat wasn't over. The 4 ships that escaped would report back to their empire. But for the first time, Earth had hope. Humanity had revealed the truth behind the Draconians' fearsome reputation. They weren't invincible after all. And now the counterattack could begin. 1 month after the battle, Earth was a changed world. The 7 captured Draconian ships hung in orbit, surrounded by human vessels and research stations. Teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock to understand the alien technology. In Dome, a converted aircraft hangar in Nevada, Samantha Reed stood before a wall of screens displaying alien text. She had been working with linguists to translate the Draconian language from the ship's computers. "We've made a breakthrough," she told Commander Brooks as he entered the facility. "We can now read about 60% of their technical manuals." Brooks nodded, impressed. "What have you learned?" "Their empire spans 22 star systems, but it's not as stable as they wanted us to believe. Several of the conquered species have ongoing resistance movements." This information gave Brooks pause. "Can we contact these resistance groups?" "Potentially. The ships have star charts and communication protocols for their entire empire. Across the globe, reverse engineering projects were yielding results. In Tokyo, engineers had begun to understand Draconian power systems. In Berlin, weapons technology was being studied. In Bangalore, scientists were unraveling the secrets of their faster-than-light drives. But the most important work happened in a small lab where Greg Nelson, a former electrical engineer, studied the effect of different frequencies on Draconian neural systems. Greg was a quiet man with thick glasses and careful hands. Before the invasion, he had designed medical devices. Now he was Earth's expert on Draconian biology. "The frequency can be fine-tuned," he explained to Martinez during a video call. "We can target specific brain functions, motor control, visual, processing, even weapon systems interface." Martinez looked thoughtful. "Can we make it portable, something our troops could carry?" "Already working on it," Greg replied, holding up a device the size of a smartphone. "This prototype can disable a Draconian at 20 meters. Meanwhile, Captain Miller led a different kind of mission. Using information from the captured ships, he took a small team to a location in the Arctic where one of the fleeing Draconian vessels had crashed. The ship had been too damaged to reach escape velocity and came down in the remote ice fields. "Move carefully," Miller warned his team as they approached the wreckage. "There may be survivors." The crashed ship was half buried in ice. Its hull was torn open in several places, revealing the complex machinery inside. The team entered through a breach, weapons ready. They found 5 surviving Draconians huddled in what appeared to be a medical bay. The aliens were clearly suffering from both injuries and the effects of Earth's natural field. When they saw the humans, they raised their clawed hands in surrender. "We're taking them back for questioning," Miller decided. "Secure them with the neural disruptors." The capture of live Draconians was a significant development. Earth now had sources of information beyond the ship computers. In a secure facility, under Geneva, Admiral Krasthar's second-in-command, Subcommander Vexicor, was the highest-ranking prisoner. Unlike the others who remained sedated, Vexicor had agreed to cooperate in exchange for relief from the debilitating frequency. "Your world is doomed," he told Brooks during an interrogation session. "When the Draconian High Command learns what happened here, they will send 100 ships, not 12. Brooks remained calm. "How long before they arrive?" Vexicor made a sound that might have been laughter. "Our nearest major fleet is 3 months' journey from here. But they may wait, gather more forces, make an example of your world." This timeline gave Earth valuable information. 3 months was not much time, but it was better than nothing. In orbit, work continued on the captured fleet. Human crews had managed to restart the life support and power systems on 2 of the vessels. Engineers were learning to operate the alien technology with increasing confidence. Samantha had a bold idea. "We should use one of their ships to take the fight to them," she proposed during a strategy meeting. "Hit them before they hit us." The suggestion was met with mixed reactions. Some military leaders thought it too risky, while others saw the strategic advantage. "Which ship would we use?" asked Brooks. "The scout vessel," Samantha replied. "It's the smallest, designed for speed. We've nearly figured out how to operate it." The debate continued until Martinez spoke up. "We don't need to attack their homeworld yet, but we should contact the other conquered species, form alliances." This more measured approach gained support. Preparations began for what would be humanity's first intentional voyage beyond the solar system. While Earth's leaders planned, the Draconian Empire was not idle. The 4 ships that escaped had reached a forward base in a nearby star system. Admiral Krazathar, humiliated but alive, stood before a holographic projection of the Draconian High Command. "You lost 8 ships to a primitive world?" hissed the High Command leader, his scales darkening with anger. "They have discovered our neural vulnerability," Krazathar explained. "They used our own communication systems against us." The High Command conferred among themselves before turning back to the Admiral. "This is disturbing news. No species has ever exploited this weakness before." "The humans are different," Krazathar insisted. "Their planet's natural field makes them immune to the frequencies that affect us." This information changed the calculation. The High Command strategy had always relied on their neural technology, which allowed Draconian crews to interface directly with their ships. This gave them advantages in speed and control that other species couldn't match. But if humans were immune, "We are dispatching the 3rd Fleet to your position," the High Command leader decided. "When they arrive, you will return to this human world with overwhelming force." Back on Earth, preparations accelerated. The frequency weapon was being mass-produced in factories around the world. Defense platforms were being built in orbit, designed to project the disruptive field over vast distances. And the first human-crewed Draconian scout ship was nearly ready for its maiden voyage. Captain Miller was selected to command this historic mission. His crew would include Samantha Reed, Greg Nelson, and a small team of specialists. Their goal was to make contact with resistance movements on worlds conquered by the Draconians. The day before launch, Miller stood in the control room of the renamed scout ship, now called Humanity's Hope. He ran his hand along the alien controls that now displayed text in English. "Are you nervous?" Samantha asked, joining him. Miller smiled slightly. "Terrified, but also excited. We're about to see things no human has ever seen before. And hopefully, find allies," Samantha added. "We can't fight the entire Draconian Empire alone." As they spoke, the final preparations were being made. The ship had been modified to protect its human crew from the effects of faster-than-light travel. Its weapons systems had been augmented with the frequency technology that had proven so effective. Elsewhere in the solar system, a network of early warning beacons was being deployed. Earth would have advance notice if more Draconian ships approached. Humanity had survived the first encounter with the alien empire. Now they were preparing not just to defend their world, but to take the fight to the stars. The truth behind the Draconian fleet's disappearance on Earth was about to become known throughout the galaxy. And the empire that had conquered 17 worlds was about to face its greatest challenge. 6 months after the failed Draconian invasion, the scout ship Humanity's Hope dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a distant star system. Captain Miller stood on the bridge, watching as an unfamiliar planet grew larger on the view screen. "Scans show 5 major cities," Samantha reported from her station, "and significant orbital infrastructure. This matches the description of Kelnar, the first world the Draconians conquered. The Kelnar were a humanoid species with blue-tinted skin and 4 fingers on each hand. According to the Draconian records, they had been under Imperial control for over 200 years. "Any sign of Draconian ships?" Miller asked. Greg Nelson checked his instruments. 2 destroyers in orbit, plus several smaller vessels. "They haven't detected us yet. Our stealth systems are working." Miller nodded. "Open a tight beam transmission to the surface. Let's see if anyone's listening." For 3 days, they broadcast their message. Earth had defeated the Draconian fleet and wanted to contact the Kelnar resistance. On the 4th day, they received a reply. "We are still here," came a voice in accented English, which the ship's computers had taught to the Kelnar. "Contact. After 2 centuries, we still resist. Can you really help us?" Miller explained how Earth had discovered the Draconians' neural vulnerability. As he spoke, he could hear excited voices on the other end of the transmission. "This changes everything," the Kelnar leader said. "We have always known they had some physical weakness, but we could never identify it. Our scientists will begin work immediately." Similar scenes played out at 6 more conquered worlds as Humanity's Hope continued its journey. On each planet, resistance movements had survived despite generations of Draconian rule. On each world, The news that Earth had defeated a Draconian fleet sparked hope and renewed determination. By the time Miller's team returned to Earth, they had formed the foundation of what would become the Interstellar Liberation Alliance. 7 conquered species had pledged to rise up against their oppressors once they had implemented Earth's frequency weapon technology. Back on Earth, preparations for the coming Draconian counterattack had transformed the planet. Orbital defense platforms circled the globe, ready to project the disruptive frequency across vast distances of space. The captured Draconian ships had been modified for human use, their neural interfaces replaced with conventional controls. Commander Brooks, now promoted to Admiral, welcomed Miller's team home. "Well done, Captain. Your mission has given us valuable allies." "More than allies," Miller replied. "We've learned something important about the Draconians. They've been lying about their empire." In a briefing room filled with Earth's military and political leaders, Samantha explained their discovery. The Draconians claim to have conquered 17 worlds, but their actual control is much more tenuous than they wanted us to believe. Most of the species they've dominated were pre-spaceflight civilizations when they were invaded. Earth is the first advanced world to encounter them. This revelation changed Earth's strategic thinking. The Draconian Empire was powerful, but not the unstoppable force they had presented themselves to be. In his laboratory, Greg Nelson had made another crucial breakthrough. Working with scientists from around the world, he had developed a shield, technology that protected human physiology, while amplifying the harmful frequency against Draconians. "We can now generate the field without affecting our own ships and troops," he explained during a demonstration. "This gives us offensive capabilities we didn't have before." Paul Martinez, who had been overseeing the technology integration projects, nodded in approval. "With this shield and what we've learned from their ships, we can take the fight directly to them." The shield technology was quickly implemented across Earth's growing fleet. Human crews could now operate in the same space as affected Draconians, without suffering any ill effects. 3 months after Miller's return, the early warning system detected a large group of ships entering the solar system. The Draconian counterattack had arrived. 20 vessels, led by Admiral Krasithar's flagship, appeared near Jupiter's orbit. They were clearly prepared for Earth's frequency weapon, their hulls modified with new shielding technology. "They've adapted," Martinez noted grimly as he studied the sensor readings. "But so have we." Admiral Brooks addressed the combined Earth defense fleet from his command ship. "This is the moment we've prepared for. Remember your training and trust your equipment. Today we defend not just Earth but all worlds suffering under Draconian oppression." The battle began in the space between Mars and Earth. The Draconian ships launched the first attack, their weapons more powerful than anything seen in the previous encounter. But Earth's fleet, now including modified alien vessels, was ready. Their frequency weapons had been refined, able to penetrate the new Draconian shields at close range. When the ships engaged, the effect was immediate. Several Draconian vessels began showing signs of crew impairment. On his flagship, Admiral Krasithar raged as reports came in. "How are they bypassing our shields? Increase power to the neural dampeners." But the human fleet pressed the advantage. Captain Miller, commanding one of the captured Draconian cruisers, led a strike team directly at the enemy flagship. His ship had been modified with a powerful frequency projector in place of its main gun. "Target their bridge," Miller ordered. "Full power." The invisible beam struck the Draconian flagship. Inside, Krasithar and his officers collapsed as their neural systems overloaded. Without leadership, the Draconian fleet fell into disarray. The battle lasted less than 6 hours. When it ended, 12 Draconian ships had been destroyed and 8 captured. The Earth Defense Fleet had suffered damage but lost only 3 vessels. Admiral Brooks stood on the bridge of his command ship, watching as the last enemy vessel fled the solar system. "Track it," he ordered. "I want to know where it goes." In the months that followed, Earth consolidated its victory. Using data from the newly captured ships, they located the Draconian homeworld, a humid planet orbiting a yellow star 200 light-years away. But even more valuable was the intelligence about the true nature of the Draconian Empire. Despite their technological prowess, the Draconians numbered less than 1 billion spread across their conquered worlds. Their rule depended on fear and the appearance of invincibility. Now that their weakness was known, resistance movements throughout the Empire gained strength. The Interstellar Liberation Alliance grew as more conquered species joined the fight. 1 year after the first Draconian ship appeared in Earth's orbit, a meeting was held in the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Representatives from 9 alien species sat alongside human delegates to formalize their alliance. Samantha, now Director of Interstellar Relations, addressed the historic gathering. "We came together because of a shared enemy, but we remain united by a shared vision, a galaxy where no species dominates another, where all can develop according to their own nature." As the Alliance Treaty was signed, Earth ships were already helping to liberate the nearest conquered worlds. The Draconians, fighting on multiple fronts, were in retreat. The truth behind the Draconian fleet's disappearance on Earth had become legend throughout the galaxy. How a supposedly primitive world had discovered the weakness of a mighty empire and brought it to its knees. It was a story of hope that spread from world to world, bringing courage to those who had lived too long under alien domination. And it was just the beginning of humanity's journey to the stars.